Tickets for Less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. ShopTicketsForLess.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back. 1 o'clock hour, the Connor Happer Show. You're on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Hodson with you. We're joined now on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline by our good friend Sam McKewon from the Omaha World-Herald. Sam, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. I'm talking to the guy who had Ja'Cory Barney number 2 on his Super 6 list. And you look pretty good for having done that.
Interesting. Did I have him the highest?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about taking that victory lap today. Wow. Thank you for the reminder, Sam. Now I'm going to start it.
You got a victory lap to take. Because, you had my highest for sure. Some people had him as a sleeper, and I don't think that counts.
No, he was too good to be a sleeper.
There's no 4-star sleep.
No.
So people were like, I'm going to put him as a sleeper. He's not a sleeper.
No.
He was a 4-star recruit.
Yeah, that's
but
not allowed.
You had him number 2. So
right.
You were like, I am doubling down on this man's stars. And he had a great game on Saturday.
And who did I have as number 1? Tell everybody that too. Now, a lot of people had this, but I also had that one right.
Dylan Raiola?
Yeah, definitely Dylan Raiola, yes.
Yeah.
Some people tried to get cute, Sam, not me. I keep it real.
They did. I that was almost like the free one. If you decide not to take the tap in for free, then you take your risk.
Yeah, it was I marked off the free space on the bingo card.
That's right. But your second one was pretty darn good. Well done.
Thank you very much. We could start there. I mean, that feels like a pretty good weapon that Nebraska is going to have at their disposal. I mean, you can get into a conversation about the wide receiver room in general and how improved it is from last year, but like I was kind of struck by the depth at that position, and obviously it's all tied to the quarterback, but I mean, it seems like they're going to have some real playmakers at that spot, ones which we've seen, and then some that we haven't seen here yet also.
Yeah, for sure. I think they feel good about that room, better than they did last year. But some of the young guys who played last year played because of injuries, and that's going to pay off now. Jalen Lloyd is probably a better football player because he had to go through some of the things he had to go through last year. And if Xavier Betts doesn't leave and Marcus Washington doesn't get hurt, and ITC doesn't get hurt, I don't know that we see Jalen Lloyd. And so he doesn't know what it's like yet. But now he does. And he does know what it's like. And I thought he played quite nicely on Saturday. Barney brings a lot of skill sets to the table. He's just a pure athlete. He played a lot of Wildcat quarterback in high school. He reminds me a little bit of Jamal Turner in that way. Like, I think he's going to be somewhat similar to Jamal Turner, maybe a little bit quicker than Turner was, but similar player, I think would be the way that I would put that. And, I think they've just gotten a little better there. I think they're, the kid that transferred in from Texas, he can run.
Yeah.
For sure. And, you always got to keep context in mind. Texas had a receiver taken in the first round and the second round. And those guys played a lot of football for Texas. And they were the lead receivers. And so, the other guy didn't have a chance to play much. And we'll see with Jamal Banks. I think he's going to be a physical, red zone kind of guy. I don't know he's going to be your over-the-top guy. But I like the picture at that position. Obviously, got to stay healthy. Have to keep everybody in line. Want to get Malachi Coleman back. I think he's an important addition to that because he is a guy that can take the top off. But, I think they feel good. Jaden Doss was playing at corner, and last year Jaden Doss was like their number 5 receiver.
I know.
Alex Volk was playing on the second team on Saturday. He was on the white team, and that was kind of the second team offense. And, Alex Volk was playing on that team, and that was, he's a second team receiver. He's going to have to battle for a starting job as it stands right now. And so I think Nebraska feels good about where it's at that position. Tight end looked pretty good. Running back, the one thing I'll say for the running backs, Connor, is they ran hard, and I appreciate that. They didn't have to. They probably could have, tiptoed their way through that, and everybody just kind of shrugs their shoulders. But I thought they played with the leading edge, and I thought that, when they went against Nebraska linebackers, they won those battles more often than not. So I thought the offense came to play.
Was there anything about Raiola that you didn't think we'd get a good picture of or a good glimpse of that we did get on Saturday, or was he kind of just like, as advertised, that's kind of what I thought he would bring to the table?
I thought he did a nice job of throwing the quick stuff, getting the ball out. He got one to Hall, and Hall had to come back in for it, but that's what you want to do on that play. You're okay with him kind of coming in a yard because it's not quite a tunnel screen, but it gives you a little bit of room to run. So I thought he did a nice job there. I think he got pretty good protection for the most part.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I think he did some of the things that I would expect him to do. There's room to grow. He floated a couple balls that, you're not going to be able to do that
right
in the season. There's going to be guys there to pick that off. So, I think he's got a good feel for the game. I think he has a sense of where guys are going to be. And so what I would say about him is there's probably a preternatural understanding of just space. And sometimes it looks like he's being a little lackadaisical with his operation. And I don't know that it's that. I think he's probably just maybe a quarter second ahead, and he can. And one thing he's clearly internalized Patrick Mahomes, and that's mostly a good thing. One thing that Mahomes likes to do, and other quarterbacks like to do it too now, is they don't want to tip off where they're throwing the ball, and so their body energy is kind of low key when they wind up, and his body energy is a little low key, and he'll probably have to work on that a little bit. But Mahomes is such that, and Mahomes can do a lot of things. Obviously, his body energy is very high level when he's scrambling around, but when he's just in the pocket, he can almost pull that ball up, and you don't know where he's going with it. It's like a point guard. And I think Raiola's got some of that. Like he's able to make a throw, and it's kind of like a cobra strike. You don't really see it coming, and then throw to Bullock, for example, in the middle of the field. That was like a cobra strike. You don't really think that's coming, and there it is. So stuff like that. He's got an arm that makes those kinds of surprises possible, and so, yeah, I thought he did a really nice job of managing the whole thing. And then I thought his press conference was pretty good, too.
Me too.
That stuff matters. I thought he handled that pretty well. He didn't overdo it. He wasn't goofy, but he wasn't so laconic that it was like it wasn't a big deal. I thought he did a nice job with talking to the media, and that's part of the job, too.
Yeah, he wasn't. I mean, I definitely rather have him calm than frantic. And then I think about Nebraska's offense last year and how frantic it was, and we've gone over and over about its kind of boom or bust nature. Like the thing that I was looking for, we knew that we were going to get the big arm plays and the splash type of plays. That's where the ceiling is for him. But I'm totally with you. The press conference stuff and the demeanor and the simple stuff. Even he had a couple throwaways, Sam, that I was like, yeah, that's the right choice. He feels advanced in that category for a freshman, even of his caliber.
Yeah, I think he's probably spent a lot of time thinking about the position and how to play it. He certainly looked like he had. Again, there's qualities about his game. He's obviously watched a lot of football. I think all that helps. He's internalized some of Mahomes' movements. There was one where he was scrambling and he went and found, I think it was Ian Flint. And sometimes the way that Mahomes, again, he tucks his chin when he's going to scramble. And it's almost like he's tucking his body backward a little bit when he runs so he can kind of keep his equilibrium and his balance when he's throwing the ball. And really did that. Like, it's just an interesting movement. And if you were to watch Patrick Mahomes scramble and just go and look at a YouTube video. You know what I'm talking about. Like he has this, he pauses for a half second and then he goes and he gets out of the pocket. It's a quality that not every quarterback has. Some quarterbacks, I'm not saying paint by numbers, but they just have a, hey, I'm going to do this the way you're supposed to do it. And Raiola is, got some skills on him that allow him to maybe cut a corner or two. And I don't mean that in a bad way. He's able to do some things with the ball that maybe not all quarterbacks are able to do.
Yeah. Sam McKewon from the Omaha World-Herald is with us here on the Counter Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. One of my takeaways, I think, big picture from the offense, this isn't just from the spring game. And keep in mind, I guess we're comparing it to last year. I feel like depending on which quarterback was in there, and obviously the skill position guys are, I think, like we said, a year better. Offensive line is probably a year better as well. I feel like the coaching staff has a really good understanding of, like, they have a good self-scout, right? They know kind of who their quarterback is and what that guy can do in any given moment. I think they were, so hamstrung last year at times. But what Heinrich was doing was not, exactly what Dylan Raiola was doing. And what Kalen was doing was at his level as well. I wonder what you think that means, or if you noticed that, and what you think that means for this group and how far it can take them this year when Raiola is their quarterback.
Well, I think there's something to be said for needing more than just one guy, and they know that. I think you have to have multiple guys ready at a moment's notice. I think one thing Nebraska's never really done that I would like to see them do more of is have a second quarterback, that being Harburg, that can get you some stuff done physically in the run game. If you bring him in third and short, and everybody kind of knows what he's in there to do, but he's still pretty good at doing it, and he can throw. Creating a role for Harburg that's meaningful and also impactful. So I think the team can go a long way if you kind of make sure you know what you're doing with Dylan and you're running the kind of offense you want to run with him, and simultaneously trying to use your number two to maybe do some different things. I think all those options are in play. So much of what a quarterback has to get done is related to the people around him. If you look at the quarterbacks who were in the college football playoffs, they had tremendous talent at their disposal. I think Dylan's better than one of those quarterbacks now. Not to knock Jalen Milroe at all, but I think Dylan's a better passer than Milroe is, probably now. And the other three had incredible players at their disposal. NFL draft picks, all the rest. So you need to surround a quarterback with everything, all the pieces, and then you got to get him to lock in, and then you have to have depth. Like, all of these players have to come together, and then they, so much time and energy is put into one game and one preparation, and then you have to turn right around and do it again. And so there's so many different parts to getting that thing right. Last year they really struggled to get it right because of the players they had and also the injuries and all the rest. And I think what they hope for is that they can get it right this year.
Yep. Sam, how do you think they, if anything, what do you do about the kicking situation this summer leading into the fall?
Outside of getting another player, I don't really know that there's much you can do.
Right.
I think you're going to have to live with it, and you're going to have to figure out, what the deal is there, why there's struggles, why your kicker pulled the ball twice, and he did. He pulled it, foul ball on both from the right hash mark, and not sure why, and you have to kind of figure those things out. I'm sure they'll give it a shot. I don't think they're square kickers, and I don't think they're totally square punters.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. I think you have to. That's a week in, week out kind of operation, and unlike the NFL, you're stuck with the guys you got once the season begins. So if they're gonna have to figure it out, keep working with them. Again, it wasn't discussed much during spring camp. We didn't ask real much about it. Foley obviously is the expert there, but head coach has got to be there, and he's got to be a part of that conversation. And like if it were me, I wouldn't have a kicker talking to anybody until he makes the kicks.
Yeah,
that'd be the way I do it. Not everybody's like that, but I would make some kicks, and then we'll put you out there in fall games. Like, go make a game-winning kick or something like that, and then we'll put you out there, because I think there's a lot of confidence there, and I appreciate that. But you got to go out and make kicks. So you do that, and you got to do that first.
Yeah.
So and
they ask questions, and that stuff gets in your head too. It's tough to put a kicker out there. It's admirable, but it's tough for the guy to go up there and answer all the questions when he doesn't probably know what's going on.
Sure, there's that. Again, I think this guy is a distance guy, right? Like you want to make him from distance, but you want to tell your quarterback, hey, hold the ball down, let's go get 3. And you tell him that, and then the guy goes out and misses it. Well, what your quarterback can internalize based on that is, well, we ain't gonna get 3.
Mm-hmm. Now I got to do something.
Going in. I got to go do something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're not making 3. So your kicker has to feel confident in the quarterback and all those other things. You have to, like Matt Rule could talk about this way more intelligently than I can. He understands how you win football games, and so like how you win close games and how you win low scoring games. And there's a logic behind, let's get 3 here, let's do what we need to do, let's put it on the board. Personally, I don't think, for example, the Detroit Lions coach understood that last year. I've never asked Rule, and I should have asked him whether he would have taken the field goals in those 2 circumstances. But I think there's just things that that you do when you have an opportunity, except your kicker needs to make the kicks. And we'll see how that goes.
All right, Sam. Appreciate it as always. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll talk to you next time.
All right, take care.
Sam McKewon from the Omaha World-Herald, who makes many great points.
One of the smartest we have here locally.
About the brain of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. I didn't even think about that, Josh, but he makes an excellent point, as he always does.
You could take a victory lap if you so chose.
Well, I'm doing the honorable thing.
Mm-hmm.
But let's look at the Super 6 and, where people voted. So, we don't know everything at this point. Not even the whole class is here yet.
Nope.
But the conglomerate media Super 6 was as follows. Dylan.
Makes sense.
Carter Nelson.
Sure.
Grant Bricks.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb Benning.
Yep.
Dante Dowdell. Micah Mazuka. Those are your 6. Transfers and freshmen could all be in here.
Heard some of those names.
You have
on Saturday.
You should have. To be fair, a couple of the 24/7 sports folks, Mike Schaefer and Michael Bruntz,
yeah, the good people over there,
also had Ja'Cory Barney at number 2.
Oh, interesting.
Let's see. Did anybody else?
They copy off your paper?
No. If anything, I copied off of theirs because they were not specifically like their paper, but I know, Schaefer and I talk all the time, and he liked them. And so that informs. Let's see. No, looks like we were the only 3 who had Barney at number 2.
Well, you're not afraid to go out on a limb.
No, I'm not. So the rest of my Super 6, if you're looking for people who are going to be good now, because I know.
Mm-hmm. Ball.
Dylan, number 1.
Dylan.
Ja'Cory Barney, number 2. Preston Taumua, who I believe was in there on Saturday, was at number 3. Mazuka was 4. Banks was 5. And Caleb was 6. Benning. And my sleeper.
Caleb Benning.
Caleb Benning. Mario Buford I had at number sleeper. And yes, Sam is right. You can't put Barney, who was a high 4-star, at sleeper.
No.
No, you can't. Not allowed. But Ravi did that. Oh, Ravi.
Interesting.
This guy. And Evan Bland and Luke Mullen.
Can't do that, guys.
No, you come on. Give me a break.
Interesting that I wasn't asked, and I would not have, but I know the rules better than people who did. Interesting.
Full question up at Happer Show. Is Connor Happer afraid to go out on a limb?
That was recommended to us by Charles in the YouTube chat.
It does not appear so.
And I stole it.
Douglas writes in.
Hi, Douglas.
Please schedule an interview with Dom Raiola. He says Raiola, though, and his wife, and call their son Dylan. Maybe I missed class on the day that we all found out that was funny.
Look.
It's annoying, Doug says.
For the 7,000th time.
It wasn't me. It was
Dylan.
Yeah.
There was a television show wildly popular amongst people Connor and my age titled Chappelle's Show.
The Dave Chappelle Show.
In that show, there was a sketch where a young man named
Dylan
was asked, who are the best 5 rappers of all time? And he said
Dylan
5 times and added it at the end.
Because I spit hot 5.
That's why we call Dylan Raiola Dylan.
But is it funny?
I don't care. It's a pop culture reference. We don't have a lot of drops on this show because my back is to the drops most of the show.
We should get Dom on and be like, hey, I want to come clean here. I call your son Dylan.
What
do you think he would say? I bet he would be like,
that's kind of weird, but okay.
He'd like, why do you do that? And we would explain him the whole bit. And then he'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think he'd care.
I don't think he'd care either. But we should try.
Mm-hmm.
He is a friend of the show, by the way. He's come on the show.
Been on before. He'll be on again. Mm-hmm. Breaking news out of the National Football League.
Wait, one more Dylan text.
Oh, yeah.
Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
I even call him Dylan, and my wife looked at me like I was an idiot.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
Yeah. You're going to do that. I got people in I'm sitting there doing Creighton stuff all over the weekend. Guys come in the press box. I can't see when they come into the door, and they grab my shoulders and they go, Dylan.
All right. You got some weird coworkers.
Grown men with tears in their eyes. They're all doing that. What's going on in the NFL?
Breaking news out of the National Football League. You're going to have to deal with the Kansas City Chiefs, and you're going to have to deal with Travis Kelce, as he and the Chiefs have agreed on a new 2-year contract extension that makes him the NFL's highest paid tight end.
I wasn't really worried about us not having to deal with him.
Right.
So I wasn't mentally prepared.
Well, there was talks that
he's going to retire and go swim off to another continent with Taylor.
With Taylor and his brother, who's on ESPN now. Have you heard this?
Yeah.
Jason Kelce's going to do the Monday Night Football pregame.
How about that? All right, we'll come back. A couple things to clean up. We still got the Fedoni bit that we could potentially still do tomorrow. I want to touch on a little baseball as well. All still to come on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. But this week we have a new zone deal, as we do every week. Le Voltaire is the zone deal of the week this week. Locally owned French restaurant serving the Omaha community for 22 years. Unpretentious down-home cooking, serving classic French dishes, handcrafted cocktails, and more. Lovely place with this week's zone deal. It's 2 $25 vouchers, which is, of course, a $50 value if you could do math or if you could talk, for only $25. On sale this Friday, which is May 3rd, is this Friday.
People forget.
I know it seems like months from now, but it's May 3rd on Friday at 1620thezone.com.
Dylan.
The Connor Happer Show. Follow us on Twitter @Happer Show for all the latest news and views. We may even say something interesting once in a while.
Unlikely.
Really, guys?
Dylan.
Mornings